Hey everybody, Alex Rothenberg here, the Brutally Honest Guy, and today I'll bring you my 2023 earnings report on YouTube. This time last year, I put together 10 goals that I set myself for 2023, and I'm going to discuss whether I met them or not and how I could have done better. Read on to the end where I'm going to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2023, and also 10 goals that I set myself for 2024. So let's get started. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been putting together these yearly reports, summaries with goals and trends for the last 4 years. So I recommend you check them out. And there's a link to them here on the earnings report on the blog. And it's nice to put these together as they help me to identify the best performing agencies, what kind of images and photos to focus on. And it's good to see not just financially how I'm doing, but also quality wise if I'm improving over the years. So moving on, am I rich yet? No, I'm not, but I'm enjoying this journey nevertheless. I love traveling, as you know. I'm a travel photographer, and I also love meeting different people, and I'll mention shortly people that I've met this year. So it brings me great satisfaction to do this type of work. I'm not a huge fan of doing the legal corporate work, which is my background. I prefer much more doing photography and videos and writing about it, and now talking about it on YouTube. And so if I can combine the pleasure and the business of doing this, and perhaps just earn a little bit more than I'm earning at the moment, I'm going to get to earnings shortly, then I can almost make this a full-time job, and then I can have some other projects on the side to make up the deficit. Moving on, so let's sum up 2023. So 2022 was the year of the drone. That's when I got my DJI Air 2S, more on that later. And 2023 was, as corny as it's going to sound, the year of friendship, because I met some cool people this year personally in Portugal, thanks to doing this type of work. They came and met them via the blog. So it's one reason why I put together the blog. And I'm going to mention them in order of when I met them, not how much I liked them. Like them all very much. First one is Joe Hartz. He's a travel photographer in the US. I met him in Portugal, and he spent, I believe it was 6 months with his wife traveling around Europe. It was nice to catch up with him, share ideas. Next, I met Ruben Ramos on a short hop when he was in Portugal. He's a pianist on the cruise ship, so he didn't have much time. We had a nice lunch and chat about book covers. He's now the elite Archangel book cover photographer and getting regular sales, so good job with that. Congratulations. And Dmitry Rivkenko, I met him recently, and he's from Belarus. He's a travel photographer, spent 4 years in India. Oh, I interviewed Ruben. I also interviewed Dmitry. And Dmitry is also a drone pilot, and he's got a lot of experience. He's made a lot of money in this industry, and I'm happy to converse with him pretty much on a daily basis. Last but not least, Elijah Lovkov. He spent 3 weeks with me in Portugal, and he's a great guy. He's a travel photographer as well, and we bounce ideas off each other quite often. Sometimes he's a bit tough with me on my work, and I do appreciate it. So great to meet these people, and I hope next year I get to meet more talented individuals in this industry. So moving on, goals for 2023. Goals are super important. If you don't put goals together, you're just gonna be like going to this business blind, just shooting whatever you see that's interesting, and not having any focus, both for your time and how much you expect to earn. This can be quite an expensive business, so you know you're putting together a collection of different gears, different lenses that they cost a lot of money, and you have to think about the return on investment on that gear, and it can take many years. Also, the travel that is associated, you can book plane tickets are super expensive these days. That's why I recommend going on a cruise, which I did for 3 weeks from Barcelona to Rio. And that was just a little bit cheaper, a little bit more expensive, sorry, than a one-way ticket from Europe to Brazil. So there's ways around it, and I got many different scenes that I would not have got, obviously, if I took a plane. So yeah, if you think about travel, it's super important that you try to at least make back a portion of how much you've spent on the costs, not just plane tickets, also accommodation, food, and your time. So think about the goals that you want to set for next year and whether you can achieve them. Make them realistic and manageable. So how did I do on my 2023 goals? So a little bit about here, goal setting. My first goal was probably the easiest of them all, 40 accepted book covers at Archangel per month. I easily overcame that actually by 4 times, so average was about 160 per month, which just shows how much progress I've made with them, and I'm now getting more regular sales. 2023 was not a great year in terms of sales, but things will pick up. I'm confident with that. Moving on, so TikTok, really not sure about TikTok. I think it's interesting medium for millennials, and I'm trying to get more people watching my blog and views, but I feel that for what I'm doing, YouTube is much better, so I'm happy that I'm on YouTube other than spending too much time on TikTok. Perhaps I can do some reels here and there, but I'm really not sure about them. Okay, island hopping for 2023. So I just mentioned I was on a cruise, and I did visit some islands. Mainly they were in the North Atlantic, so they were in Tenerife, and I got to see Fernando de Noronha from far away, but maybe next year I can actually visit there, fly my drone and all that. I would have liked to visit Malta, but it was super expensive at the time, so I canceled that trip in May. It's one place that's on my list. Oh, I also visited Mallorca, Palma de Mallorca, a beautiful place. Number 4, devote more time to print on demand ports. Yeah, this has been a bit failure for me. I just been, no excuses, got distracted with other things. I do have a large collection of images that would make for excellent wall prints. Steve Heap, he's a great he's a friend of mine. He's a great photographer, and he's specializing on fine art prints, and he's having a lot of success and writing about it on his blog Backyard Silver, so I recommend check him out. And he's offered me quite a few tips on how to get started, but I really want to get out of the print on demand and focus more on selling prints directly to buyers. And I've had some inspiration from a friend in Portugal, Brazilian, Lucas Sancho, and he's given me a lot of tips on how to do that. He's actually promoting some of my work, no sales yet, but I do want to get in touch with printers themselves directly and try to negotiate deals and do that. So it's something that it's going to happen in 2024, and as soon as I have more news on how to set up a shop, probably a new Instagram account, then I will get in touch. So that's news for me. Number 5, upgrade my drone qualifications. So I have the A1, A2, A3 drone qualifications, which is I've reached the maximum that I could on the open category. However, if I want to fly in higher risk location scenarios, I have to upgrade something called the STS. However, Portugal doesn't have that program yet. It's something that's going to happen soon. So I've reached that goal. I got my A2 license, I believe it was in June. So that was cool. I had a test to do. It was not too expensive. Free. Well, not too expensive. It was free. Number 6, get some drone gigs. So staying on the theme of drones, I did get a few gigs. One notably was the stand-up paddle yoga, and that was cool. And I want to get more of those. I can probably charge a lot for these, a lot more than doing terrestrial photos. So I need to push on that side. Goal number 7, publish another 5 interviews of stock wizards. Well, that's another one that I managed to do quite easily, and I've crushed that goal with 9 people that I've interviewed for the blog, and I'm not going to name them in this and talk about that. I recommend you check them out. Go one by one, read through everything. There's no paywall, there's no ads, easy reading. Recommend you get a lot of information. So check them out. Goal number 8, keep up to date with the latest developments relating to AI, machine learning. Yeah, I did some of that. I'm trying to keep up with AI. I'm trying to learn a little bit every day. There's a lot of new stuff coming out, a lot software wise and legislation wise. So I do keep up with what's going on, and I have keeping up with what's going on. So there's 2 tools that I'm using very regularly that I recommend you check them out. First one is the Photo AI, which is a keyword tagging tool. So you basically upload your image and it will give you the caption and the keywords automatically. I don't know how it does that, but the algo is super cool. There's some bugs associated with it, but they're improving it every day. So really check them out. You can get a free trial and see for yourself how you can do it. Another tool is the Topaz Sharpen and noise reduction. I'm using that on all my images. It does take a few minutes to put together, but the results are amazing, especially if you're shooting in low light conditions or you're doing street photography and you get that image, but there's only a little bit of motion blur. The Topaz will fix that to such a high degree, and it will get that image accepted in most collections. So there's a link for those. Goal number 9, publish at least 1 monthly earnings report on YouTube, TikTok. Yeah, I managed to publish my first earnings report in November. I didn't publish one for December because I was on the cruise. And the internet connection was not great, and I had a huge backlog. But I am talking about my earnings now for the whole year, so I reached that goal. Number 10, shoot just for fun. That's a fail because every time I'm shooting, I'm thinking about stock. It's difficult to get out of that mindset. I take my camera with me everywhere if I see something interesting, and I'm uploading most of my images. It's difficult because I'm not earning enough. I think that's the main reason. Once I do earn enough, perhaps I can think about just doing a little side projects that doesn't involve stock, or I'm not doing any client work. I don't know yet, but I'm still a bit far away from reaching my goal. Need to double my income at least. So let's move on now to my earnings for 2023 compared to 2022. The first line, you can see Archangel. I managed to increase my offerings by 44%, and to my port size of currently over 3,600. My earnings were down. That was super surprising because I had a lot of new images, but I remain optimistic that 2024 things are gonna become a bumper year. Gonna have a record year. Our Archangel probably earn excess of $3,000 net. Next we have Alamy. Alamy, strange agency. I had a better month than 2022 and increased my port by 10%, but it's still underperforming for the port size of almost 16,000. Adobe stock is next, almost the same in terms of earnings from last year, and increased my port size also 10%. Shutterstock, almost the same, and increased by 7%. Really no news there. iStock, also the same. So the year has been a little bit better if you don't count Archangel in terms of micro photo sales. Now let's move on to clips. Clips, I had a super strong year. That's one of my focus on this industry, is to upload stock footage taken from the drone. And as you can see, my earnings at Adobe stock still are quite small, but they have quadrupled, and more importantly, I've increased my assets by 36% to over 1,000. Shutterstock, I'm nearly at 2,000 and increased by 22%. Earnings were stable. Pond 5 had a horrible year 2022. I think they were on my ugly list of earnings, only $111 net. So I managed to quadruple that and increase my port size 23%. So some positive stuff there. iStock, just irrelevant. So comparing average return per download. This is an interesting metrics. I thought about using volumes, but this is much more interesting. And as you can see, my results for Alamy, there was an uptick in the average download price by some 20%, and Adobe stock actually came down by 14%. Shutterstock, it about the same, iStock about the same. So the average has increased slightly for all the agencies, for the major agencies. Taking a look at the clips, I actually have this differently for percentage wise. I would change that. Anyway, for clips, the variation has been quite steep, and it's unfortunate to see that clip prices, the average has come down, and that's something that unfortunately I'm expecting it to happen more and more. There appears to be not that much difference in terms of download prices for 4K HD in iStock, and that reflects, you know, the poor $1.46 on average per clip sold on iStock. It's very unfortunate. Adobe stock, it's a little bit better. Shutterstock has really come down, 32% drop year on year average clip price. 0.5 is about steady. They're high, 0.5, because I priced them high, but the volumes are unfortunately quite low. The grand total, so it's been a year where I earned 7,863 net, including everything, which is almost the same as last year, but we need to account for inflation, and as you know, everything's gone up in price in the real world, the rent and the food and the travel. So you know, this maybe it's gone up 10-15% depending where you live. So my business is struggling when it comes to that. It's not growing, it's stagnating, and that's what I mentioned. There's a treadmill guy, there's a guy, me on the treadmill, that is constantly speeding up and I can't keep up. Looking historically at my earnings, I had a bumper year. 2019 was my best year at just over 11,000, and COVID happened, and then drops. The worst was 2021. Things really bad, and things have picked up a little bit since then, but not much. So it's not looking great, and this is despite, you know, as you can see earlier, I spoke about the number of assets that I'm increasing. 10% for images, 25% for clips. So things are not looking great. So let's focus on the positive first. The good news is the drone opportunities. So I got my DJI ARS in April 2021, been flying regularly since, 91 hours in total, 850 kilometers that I've flown. So it's pretty cool. I've been flying a lot. And I've earned, according to Microstock R, a great tool for analytics, statistics gathering, I've earned $774 from drone footage and clips this year alone. And of course, I fully expect that perhaps to double next year, because I have so many new stuff, and that's going to mature and hit its stride next year as a part of the life cycle of an asset. I've done some calculations that how much I've been flying. So I've been flying, maybe flew around 35 hours for those collections, which came down to $22 an hour. Quite respectable. Now let's talk about also another positive in this my business is Archangel book covers. I've managed to increase my offering 44%, so I had 1,600 images accepted, almost doubling my port. It's great. And as you can see here, I had 3 book cover images sold from the drone, taken from the drone. So you can see them here. That's cool. So that's optimistic. I can't really discuss specific sale prices here relating to Archangel. I've been asked not to. However, I can say that the average that I earned with them is $250 net. So I'm using that as the basis and going forward as well. So earned 750 for these. Another positive is my first AI image sold. This was at Alamy before they banned all the AI images, so I still got paid for this one. I was just playing around with the confident obese woman, and her fingers were a bit strange. AI still has a long ways to go for those. I earned $7 for this image on a Swedish newspaper. Another positive is I published some free ebooks. I recommend you download them. Check them out. So they're related to achieving book cover success at Archangel, and also some tips on drone photography and a small one on microstock photography workflow. So they're here, they're free for you. Now let's focus on some bad news. Oh, the bad news. And then the ugly. The ugly is the worst. Okay, the bad news is Pond 5 really underperforming. I expected, a lot of the volumes are not great. Alamy also underperforming. I was hoping for the best year ever in terms of revenue, but really they underperformed in the second half of the year, even though the volumes did hit a record level. So that means that it was a year where the average return per download was low. I wrote about the free download agencies in my experiment, which was also featured in Petapixel. So it's that was really sad to see how my free images downloaded 78,000 times. I didn't earn $1 from donations, and there were also people stealing those images and reselling on microstock. So it was a whole really bad experience. Actually, that should probably go under the ugly, but anyway. But the really ugly was happened 2 days ago. I'm still trying to recover from a little bit of the shock and sadness. Is that I had to say goodbye to my DJI Air 2S, which was my companion, my friend for 2 years, almost 2 years, and I lost him or her in Botafogo Bay. I was trying to film the New Year's Eve fireworks in Rio at night, and I told the story here of what happened. It was I was not very far. It was a quite ordinary flight, once in a lifetime opportunity though, to capture the fireworks. I had authorization. I was not far. I could see the drone. However, due to, I don't know what happened yet. I'm still trying to figure out. I sent over my logs to DJI. I'm analyzing the logs themselves, sending over to friends. I have some theories. It could be related to mechanical, instrumental, electrical, or it could be something that somebody shut down because that area there was a lot of traffic, air traffic, even though I was not very high. What happened basically, after I finished doing a hyperlapse of the bay, I was coming back. I had plenty of battery, plenty of time. There was no wind. I was relaxed. I just completely lost all power of the drone, all connection. I tried to and this can happen. You can lose your control. I know there was a lot of interference in the air. It was New Year's Eve. It's like in one of the busiest cities in the world, the biggest parties. There's a lot of people, and they were doing the drone show themselves on the beach not too far away. So a lot of the satellites, even though I had 24 satellites, which is a lot, they were taken up, the bandwidth was taken up by whatever was happening around. And I could see the interference. I got a lot of notifications, but I was not far. I had plenty of battery. I was not worried. However, as soon as I was returning the drone back home manually, I just completely lost all connection with the drone from the control. The screen went blank, and it was like I was not flying anything. I could not see the drone anymore. It was not flashing anymore. So the battery just went dead. I don't know, it crashed. I did not hear anything. I did not see anything, and it's unfortunate. The last I can see here from the log, as you can see, I was doing my hyperlapse here for about 10 minutes. Very nice hyperlapse. Would have been a very nice hyperlapse. I was returning manually to my home. I was just here off the screen. Here in the blog, more detail about what happened. battery malfunction. I looked at the log, there was a sharp decrease in the voltage. I'm not a specialist in this stuff, technical stuff, so I'll let the experts give the verdict. There was a variation in the beginning, which can happen in most batteries. If somebody would like to take a look at my logs and give me their input, please do so. I don't think it was pilot error, and I say that wholeheartedly. I don't think that I was to blame, because I was not far. I was very close, and I could see the drone visual line of sight and all that. So anyway, so brought by that, I have some theories here on my blog. Brought by the military, and there's me next to where it happened. So on New Year's Day, yeah, when the light came in, and there's the bay there. I got in touch with the DJI, and it's past the warranty, and they've offered a replacement DJI Air 2S for 15% discount, and I'm still negotiating, trying to see how much it would be just for the drone itself, because of course I still have all the other gear. Might be interesting, but I do want to upgrade to the Air 3, which I think is much more interesting for the type of work I do with the 70mm lens. And yeah, I prefer, perhaps I can have two drones, one the DJI Air 2S as the backup and the Air 3 as the main. I like the Air 2S because it's quite lightweight, folds, and easy to travel with. The other one's a bit more bulky. But let's see. It's unfortunate. The ugly part is the part-time income for almost full-time work. Yeah, so I've mentioned about my how much I've earned this year, and I did some calculations that I put in together about 15 hours a week towards stock. I'm not talking about the blog, just stock. And that equates to around 780 hours of the year towards it. And I've earned, doing some simple math here, I've earned 7,800, and then that equates to about $10 an hour doing this. I'm not taking into account my costs, travel, depreciation of gear, taxes, these things. So I'm discounting $2 an hour from that. So I'm earning $8 net from this gig. And whether this is good or bad, it's really, you tell me. I think it's not so much. It's the positive is that I'm going to be earning this forever. There's clips that I've taken 10 years ago that have sold last week, and they will sell in 10 years. So imagine the vintage stuff. There's a value to the passive income of that. The work stops and then the income continues forever, unlike you doing a regular hourly work. So there is that. I will keep earning. However, for the present, I'm not, if you're looking to make a lot of money now, it's not the right type of work. It's better to have something that's a bit more, pays better, and you get paid right away instead of shooting something now and getting paid in 6 months, for instance. And I keep mentioning this, you have to look at the costs that you have in the business when you're shooting, when you travel. And I do trying to do this much more detailed with my trips. So I started this year trying to keep track of all my costs. And when I went to Madrid and went to the north of Spain in April, how much I spent there, and also the transatlantic cruise that I was on in November, December, and how much I cost there. And it's nice to do some estimates as well, how much I'm expected to earn in the next few years. So just, there's it's going to be some variation, from the projection to the actual. But it's nice to think about that, in the business, and to know whether it's worth it. If it's not worth it, why would I pay for another trip? Of course, I get personal satisfaction from doing the trips. I like to do them anyway. But perhaps I'm thinking about doing a microstock only trip, or I'm paying for an excursion that's only for microstock. Then I really have to think about the cost of that trip, if it's going to pay off later on. I talk about here about, should I put on more hours to earn more? No, absolutely not. It doesn't work that way. I might earn a little bit more, but the hourly rate will crash. So here I discuss passive income, and I put the line here of how much the present time. It should be a bit further, but I wrote this a few weeks ago. If I stop submitting, I will keep earning regularly for probably the next 5-10 years, and then maybe a little bit more after that. How much do I estimate to earn? Maybe $2,500 in 5-6 years, with putting in no extra effort from now onwards, which is quite cool. That would pay off some of my gear upgrades. Yeah, so it's like I'm acting like a farmer, planting seeds and collecting the yields later on. There's some images, as I mentioned, that I shot 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, that have a vintage value, such as Putin here, the dictator, here next to William Hague. He was a foreign secretary. I shot this in 2012 at the London Olympics judo event. Also, some London skylines have changed considerably in 10 years. These have a vintage value. Is stock worth it? Not really. If you're doing it just financially, there's way easier ways to make money than this. But if you think about doing this, as something like me, like combining business with pleasure, traveling, meeting people, then it's worth it. You make a little bit of money, but you get a lot of satisfaction out of the travel part. Yeah, if I don't earn much more, I might have to go back to corporate work. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. If I can combine both, it would be great, but it's not. If I'm working 40-50 hours in an office, there's not much free time left. So let's talk about now some fresh goals for 2010 that I have put together. I've stopped with this kind of goals about quantity at Archangel. Book covers quantity. I had 20 goals and went to 40. I can go up to 100. Oh, next year 100 images a month at Archangel. But that's just silly. I think I'm just gonna be focusing now purely on quality. If I have 20 images accepted and they're brilliant images, they will almost certainly be book covers one day, and they will stand out, they will be showcased and whatever. Then it's better than having 100 mediocre ones. Good, you get the drift. It's focused on quality other than quantity. I think last year I was focusing more on quantity, and I was getting more rejections as a result. Yeah, you can see here Nash Mascaro, very nice guy. Archangel sales director. He talks about focusing on quality, salability, and relevance. And I interviewed him for the blog. I recommend you check out this interview. Yeah, so I have here some images which I talk about quality. These are what I feel will eventually sell. They have that special X factor associated with them. And let's go one by one. As a red doorway, super cool. This one is actually sold. I'm going to be speaking about it at the end of January on it. So it's cool. It's got all the elements. Super graphic. I miss my drone. I cannot get this shot today, but yeah, this is in Portugal. A nice surf, top down. Yeah, it's cool. Got lots of space here for text. Also with the drone at night. Super graphic, red with a little bit of shadows here, and this could be versatile as a shot. Nice golden hour in Portugal. Tilt shift, as you can see, there's a weird focus here of table tennis. I shot this on the cruise a few weeks ago, and that's it. So let's move on. So next year I'm projecting to earn about $3,000 net with 12 sales, Archangel. Let's see how I do. Goal number 2. Keep publishing those monthly earning reports. Yeah, I know. I cannot skip months and give excuses that I'm busy. I will do. Devote more time. Goal number 4. Ooh, did I skip one? Okay. Goal number 4, devote more time to promote my prints. As mentioned earlier, that one of my goals for the year is to sell prints directly. So I'm gonna focus on opening up that shop. Goal number 5A, upgrade my drone qualifications. Well, if I can, I will. So here's more specific, more detail about what I can perhaps one day aspire to achieve in terms of qualification, specific and certified. Now I have all the open. Hopefully Portugal will get their act together. Goal number 5B, upgrade my Air 2S. Well, now I have no choice now that I crashed. I'm looking at the Air 3 as my replacement with the 70mm. That would be super cool, especially for book covers to shoot a bit more closer up. 5C, learn about drone mapping. I think this is something that I can make a lot of money and enjoy doing something related to drone surveying. A lot of industries need this. Architecture firms, city planners, private public security firms. It's really futuristic, not something many people do, quite niche. And here's an example, 3D drone mapping. But I will need to upgrade to a super powerful drone to do that. So I'll think about that. Not the most expensive drone and not the most expensive equipment license to do that, but I will see. Goal number 6, update my dad's 70s, 80s, 90s travels footage. I mentioned earlier this year about the photos of my dad took when he traveled to New York and to London, Madrid in his 70s, and I scanned them and uploaded them to Alamy, also some to Archangel for book covers. None have sold so far, but I want to do the same for the footage that he shot. Some very cool, I think unique footage available. And here's the camera that he used, the Super 8. It's a joke compared to now. Goal number 7, reduce regular commercial microstock photos. So that's right, my goal is to produce less microstock photos, particularly commercial. So I'm seeing a trend here where no regular microstock photos are being reduced in value. I don't know why, perhaps due to AI, oversaturation. Anyway, I don't enjoy doing that too much. So it's something that I want to do less and less. I'm going to focus more on doing more drone footage and doing more editorial street photography, such as this one, the police in Cartagena in Spain. Goal number 8, publish a monthly newsletter related to AI regulations, how they relate to, let's say, stock footage photography. So this is something, it's a continue on from last year's goal in AI, and I want to get more in the legal aspect of it. I have a legal background and I do enjoy this aspect of it, and I'm going to be focusing every month now on the new laws and regulations that are coming out, also the policies that the agencies are putting together to protect you, protect the clients, and try to earn. So I mentioned in the previous post how I'm a bit reluctant about creating AI images. And also Victor Torres, Addictive Stock, he mentioned that in one of the interviews that they could pull the plug one day and make you delete all your AI portfolio if they change the rules, because it's such an uncertain minefield at the moment in terms of regulations. And it's exciting, but it's a bit scary. So I'm going to be talking more about that. Goal number 9, go on another cruise. So yeah, that's I really enjoyed my cruise, Barcelona to Rio. It was not expensive. I got a lot of footage. I'm going to easily be able to make a return on investment. Got to spend time with my girlfriend, got to spend time with my grandfather. He's 97 and he's still well, but life is cruel. Who knows in a few years. And yeah, so I've been eyeing some some different cruises. I've never been to this part of the world, Denmark, Norway, Sweden. I'm also eyeing more the Adriatic and Greece. Or just go crazy. Go on a 28-day grand world voyage, hopefully not in the Middle East. Maybe they'll divert somewhere else, but this is probably less expensive than renting in most, developed countries, cities, London, New York, San Francisco, yeah, Paris for sure. Now, goal number 10, don't go back to a corporate job. I don't know, who knows? If they offer me something that I cannot refuse, then I might have to take it. But ideally, I do want to make more of this. Maybe, my goals are not, crazy. $1,500 net a month with stock. That will really go a long ways with my life. That my living expenses are not over the top. I do live in Portugal. I do travel quite low cost, so that would really help. But there's only so much I can do. I can try to improve, get more gear, get this and that, but the market is difficult, and the agencies are cutting down on our royalties. It's a fact. I think I skipped the goal there. I need to put another one, but I will mention on the report, on the video. It will stay like this. On that note, so I wish you everybody a happy new year. Hope you had a very productive 2023, and I wish you even better 2024. And this was I was trying to achieve with my drone before it crashed. Not in this angle, but from the side. Maybe next year. So I wish everybody a happy new year. Take care. Alex. Bye-bye.